Today on the American Land Seller, he's back for another episode, folks. And if you've been in the land or auction world for any length of time, you've heard the name David Whitaker. David's one of the hardest working land brokers in the state of Iowa. Some know him just simply as the land guy. I'm lucky enough to know him as friend. He's the owner of Whitaker Marketing Group and brings deep experience to every single deal he touches. David's a multi-state champion auctioneer with titles in Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, and Missouri. He's competed and won at the highest levels, from national contests to international stages, earning recognition as both a finalist and a spokesman. Beyond the fast talking, David served as president of the Iowa chapter of the Realtors Land Institute and chaired the Iowa Auctioneers Association. He holds the ALC, Accredited Land Consultant designation, as well as AMM, Auctioneer Marketing Management, and CAI, Certified Auctioneers Institute credentials. In short, he's earned his stripes as one of the most trusted names in the game. Whitaker Marketing Group has been named one of the top brokerage and auction houses by the Land Report. Whether David's out in the field or up on stage, he's what we like to call a farmland solution architect. Someone who can navigate even the toughest deals and deliver solid results for landowners. In this episode, we cover so much ground. What makes a farmland auction really succeed in today's market? Smart tips for setting up your land for sale to maximize exposure and strong bidding. Why auctioning is both science and art, and how new auctioneers can sharpen their skills. Plus how David and I are using AI to push the boundaries of marketing, research, and service in the land world. David also shares stories from the road, gives us the latest on Iowa's land market, and no surprise, drops a few gold nuggets on work ethic and doing things the right way. If you're in the land game or just love hearing from the folks who make it happen, you're going to want to stick around for this one.
Welcome to the American Land Seller Podcast with your host, Kobe Rickertson. Kobe is an accredited land consultant and multi-state land broker with High Point Land Company. Join us each week as we explore all things land. We bring you fresh insights and expert guests on sales, marketing, regulations, economics, and so much more. Visit www.americanlandseller.com and find us on one of your favorite podcast platforms.
Okay, Kobe and our special guests, let's get started.
And welcome back to the American Land Seller. We are here once again with the great David Whitaker with Whitaker Marketing Group. David, how are we doing today?
Outstanding.
I always love talking to you, man. I learned something new. And just right before we started, you taught me how to work Riverside here, the studio that we tape in. So appreciate your help. Hopefully that helps my video a little bit, be a little bit clearer. So let's dig right into it, man. I know you're a busy man. Let's talk about the market. All right.
Sure.
I know if you watch the news, no matter what channel it is, Trump is an interesting character in the world. Some people think the world's burning to the ground. I know, talking to the people that we deal with across the country in our world, I think things are holding together halfway decent. What are you seeing in your market? What are you hearing from the land professionals across the country?
Well, I guess to give a good answer, let's back up to 2020. 2020, of course, COVID year, COVID-19, market slowed. Then we had market facilitation program. This is the previous Trump administration. Okay. Market facilitation program, a little bit of government influence out there to help with crops. We had lowest interest rates we've ever seen. And then we had a new low market. We'll say it that way. Low market, so we had supply and demand. So we have all the factors that are adding up for a strong market that are coming. Low interest rates. Corn was up to $7 prior to that. So we got some of the highest commodity prices we've ever had. We got old grain out there. We got little market facilitation program. Then we had PPP money that came out, payment protection program. So we as farmers felt pretty doggone good. We had a little jingle in the pocket, right?
Yep.
Land prices soared. I don't know if you saw this, Kobe, but land prices in my world soared probably 40%.
Absolutely.
Okay, now let's level out to 22, 23. Market just kind of plateaued. we saw some of the strongest prices we ever had. I'm going to say 22 was the strongest market, and it was May of 22 that I've seen. Now go to 23, 24, 23. We didn't know if it would hold. Interest rates kind of went back up. Got a new administration. The new administration, Biden, wanted to cut capital gains tax, wanted to cut stepped up basis. And I'm not an economist, by the way. This is just my take on it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we get into 24 and 24, we started to see a decline. Little uncertainty, who's going to get elected. And all of a sudden, now we have Trump back in office. Now, I know you're a member, as well as myself, of the Realtor Land Institute. And in Iowa, we do a survey every 6 months. They saw it go down about 8% over the year. So 2024 kind of got a little tougher. I saw a lot more no sales at the auctions, and then brings us to present day. So now here we're at 2025. 2025, in January and February, I actually saw a resurgence. I don't know if we want to call it a resurgence, but maybe a back to normal, I guess, back to normal. So now we know who's elected. We know we're there, but there's still uncertainty there. And now you talked about Trump and tariffs and foreign trade and et cetera. But all I can relate it to is, what does the market tell me? And at auctions, I had a couple last year. Let me tell you, they were pretty tough. I mean, one or two bidders, like actually bidding. A lot of people there, but not that many people bidding. I've seen a lot of our competitors actually go to sealed bid auctions where you only need one bidder. I've seen people lower prices, myself included. We've lowered a lot of prices in 2024. And then back to 2025, the first couple auctions I had this year, I mean, blew it out of the water. I was hoping for, $13,000 an acre, and we get $18,000 an acre. The last four auctions we had have been the most well-attended auctions. But what are you seeing, Kobe? Mine is like kind of, I don't want to know if I want to use the word resurgence, but it's come back. Like it feels like the farmers have a good attitude now.
I think when you said people waited to see what happened with the election was exactly right. It kind of felt like June, July of last year, everybody just kind of held their breath. And I would almost say November 8th, it was like people were like, okay, well, you know what? The plane crashed and here's who survived, it was, and now we know what we're dealing with, and people started to go back to work and started to figure it out. But yeah, we've seen exactly the same thing. Auctions, very, very good luck at auctions. Interestingly enough, one of the things I would add to that is a lot of the landowners that like the absentee landowners, I've had people talking to me about selling that maybe I would not have thought of as sellers, just because of the low commodity prices. Those guys that have been kind of sharecroppers, that have been, for quite a while, living high on the hog, that all of a sudden 2 years in a row, commodity prices haven't been there, that, they're just like, especially in Nebraska where we have high land tax, property taxes. So that's been the one interesting thing I could say is that we've kind of seen that, but yeah, I agree with you. I would say I'm bullish on it.
Have you had anybody call you that, what I call a sale leaseback? So for all your listeners, of course, you and I are in production agriculture, so corn and beans and sorghum and soy, etc. So I got a lot of guys that actually put some 1031 money out there on social media, and I said, hey guys, typed it out on social media, have $6 million looking to invest. Yes. And I had like 12 different people call me and say, hey Dave, if you have 1031 tax deferred exchange money, I'm looking for an investor. Now I want to farm it, yes, but I don't want anybody to know I'm selling it. So I do think there is some tightening of the balance sheets, that is out there. And there's some that are either really on the good side. If you're cash heavy and interest rates don't bother you, then you're good. But if you're buying an operating note where you're still at 10% or double digit operating note, well, it's tight. And So I had a handful of people, more than I expected, reach out. And when they reached out, they were saying, "Well, I want to sell it. I want it quiet. I don't want anybody to know. Don't go public." But so then my response is, "Well, how much are you willing to give cash rent?" And so most of my investors are looking for 3% return. So 3% return on the money. So I'm like, hey, you guys can ask 15,000 an acre. That's fine. But I hope you give, 400 cash rent. Or if you only want to give 200 cash rent, then lower that blooming price of what you want. So I bet I have 12 pocket listings right now that are just kind of, I know about them, but they're not out there. And I've placed a couple of them with investors. But we're talking about the market. Do you see that where you're at in Nebraska?
Tougher where I'm at because my investors would want more because of irrigation systems, so like where you're at, where you've got a lot more dry land, and it's a little bit simpler for investors to own the dirt, and it's, my investors would want 4.25 probably, where you guys 3% return would be good. Just because we have wells and we have pivots, but yeah, I mean but I would say though, I think thanks to I'm going to give them credit, even though most people don't normally give their bankers credit. I think that the Nebraska Banking Association really had a different. They really did beat on their producers a little bit the last probably 8-9 years on what their requirements were for renewals and things like that, and maybe drilling them down to like per bushel costs and per bushel incomes, and so then also I think we've seen, like, at least in my area, a lot of our guys, there was a big push for maybe having some cash on hand where that had not been a push before. And so I think our guys are maybe a little bit better shape because, like, most of the lenders I've talked to, the farmers aren't really looking to sell any land this year, which I was kind of shocked when I kind of was calling around earlier in the year. Whereas when I was talking to guys in like Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, even Kansas, that is one of the things that's on the table. They were looking for those investors with the that would want to buy and lease back. So I think in Nebraska specifically, and then kind of that northeastern Colorado, really have not seen that, at least this year. I think maybe next year that conversation, if things stay the same, that might happen. But as far as this year, at least in Nebraska, or at least in western Nebraska, these guys are at least have one more year.
What are you seeing with like mountain ground? We have a lot of friends that are out west that are recreational ground. In southern Iowa, in my backyard, I still see pretty strong prices. Yeah. To tell you the truth, I mean, some of this hunting ground I sold for more than production agriculture ground this last year. So when the market went down for production, I sold some $10,000+ recreational ground for hunting and built a little cabin. Have you ventured Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Arizona? I mean, have you seen stuff? You're licensed in a lot more states than I am.
Well, I talked to Gary Hubble and those guys out there in the mountains and then, with the conservation easement programs that Colorado has specifically, I mean, they're game changers for those guys. They still have everything fairly high. I haven't really seen anything. I mean, it's not like M4 and Gary and those guys that are selling out there. It's not like you have their stuff hanging out on the market very long. And then visiting with them when we were in Arizona, it seemed to me like they were pretty excited about life. So even to the point where, I don't know, like I've got to see what they're working on, but the federal conservation easement program where they can put, captures on the use of land, but continue to farm it across the entire country and use that for, tax breaks or, I don't know what that looks like yet, but some of that stuff looks pretty enticing, where you can put build envelopes on a property, but yet continue to farm it and protect it
Yeah.
from development. And the 180, like the tax code 180, and some of that interesting. There's so many things I think that are keeping land values up there that it used to be 20 years ago. What can you do on it? You can farm it and that's it. Now you've got, like you said, hunting. We've got elk in the area where I'm at that's driving up pasture land where 10 years ago it was worth $800. Now it's worth $2,000 or better an acre. So it's more than just commodity prices that are keeping the values up. I think the hunter's keeping it up, and the investor can see more than just the crop value.
What are you seeing for investor wise? Iowa has a lot of data. They do a lot of studies. So my opinion is about 80% the neighbor farmer. Again, we're production agriculture. And maybe 20% investor, but it's not the investors. Everybody thinks, oh, China's buying farm ground in Iowa. Well, no, we have an anti-foreign ownership policy that you can't. And it's really not outside interest. It's too expensive. So we have a lot of investors, but I'm going to call them local investors or investment groups. Do you get a lot of outside money coming your way? I mean, maybe that's why they want a higher rate of return. Our guys are very agriculture driven people. They're not like when people think investors, they think Wall Street, and we don't have that.
Yeah, Nebraska, I think, recently changed their law, so corporations technically can't own farm ground. I have yet to figure out like how that works. I know trusts can, so there's a lot of trusts that own it. My thing on it is like, how do we reconcile the property rights advocacy that we want to have? Like, the government needs to stay out of property right, like our right to own property, and yet have the protection of our right to be a sovereign nation. Like that's a really fine line, to walk, I think. Yeah, what's really, I think, going to be more interesting, and I think we should maybe take a break real quick and come back and talk about it. But the Missouri recently had that verdict that came through about China and where they're maybe going to like where they had. Maybe we'll talk about that during the break and come back, because we do need to take a break real quick. But let's just do that, and we'll be right back. The American Land Seller Podcast is brought to you in part by LandHub.com. Join us today and experience the expertise of LandHub's land marketing professionals. Whether you're buying or selling, let us show you the way in the ever-evolving world of land transactions. Visit LandHub.com and discover what the future of land marketing looks like. LandHub.com, where your land journey begins. And we are back with David Whitaker from the Whitaker Marketing Group in, where is it? Are you at in Iowa, David?
Yes, Ames, Iowa, Iowa State University.
You're where now?
Ames, Iowa.
Ames. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. Where the town you're at is just a smaller town right outside of Ames, correct?
Yes, I office in Huxley, about 8 miles away south of Ames, just more rural community.
Great little restaurant there. We've had lunch there before a couple times. It's got some great burgers and stuff in the restaurant. So I enjoy stopping there when I'm on my way to the mothership out there in northwestern Iowa.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was during the break, I looked this up. Missouri had a lawsuit against the country of China about the COVID-19 pandemic and won. $24.5 billion was awarded in a lawsuit against China. China, of course, thinks this lawsuit is absurd and is refusing to pay the award. And so Missouri is taking steps to essentially take Chinese farmland in
Really?
lieu of the $24.5 billion award. So, yeah, they're seizing Chinese farmland, it looks like.
This upsets a lot of people that in two ways. One is nobody likes China buying farmland, period. They just think that's bad. They want to know what's the loophole, what's the deal. So apparently they bought farmland in Missouri. And then the second thing that nobody likes, they might like it in this case, Kobe, is condemnation. When people take land, whether it's government for a new interstate or it's somebody for a new intersection, it's whatever the condemnation rules might be for the better of the group. People don't like both of those things. So you got a weird scenario here. They're using one thing that people don't like, condemnation, to take ground from something that they don't like, China.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, and again, this is probably one of those things where, to your point, I think it's going to be a big smiley face from the American people, or most of them, to Missouri's government here, because, yeah, like I think everybody agrees we don't really want China owning our ground, but in the same sense, it goes back to property ownership, and you can get into the weeds of, kind of like, what does it do to the other countries of the world where we've already allowed this to happen. Now we can just step in and change the rules in the middle of the game. It goes back to the whole question of seizing the cash that we had in the bank of Russia, because, like those kind of questions of what does it do to our global, legitimacy. To get into some controversial stuff there today, David.
Well, and there's
Want to be controversial?
the reason that the U.S. is all Missouri, for that matter. I think there's like 7 military bases in Missouri. I was actually flying my drone. If you've ever taken the Part 107 drone class to learn how to fly your drone, they'll talk about forward operating bases, or military MOAs, military operating base. And I'm like, when I'm taking the class, I'm like, I am never going to use this. There's not a chance. Well, I was down by Knob Noster, Missouri, which is Whiteman Air Force Base. And sure enough, I got to take off, and I'm looking left, and there's like a military plane flying. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't fly my drone right here. So it does happen.
Yeah, no, and there have been, drones are interesting, because there's been some times where I've been flying a drone in the middle of nowhere where, I would have never thought that there would be anything, and here there's a little plane flying around out, and so it's definitely something that it's good to have those classes.
Yeah,
your pilot's license when you're doing those.
I remember taking the class, and I thought, there is nothing in this class that taught me anything about drones. It's all about airspace. It's all about where you can, where you can't, how many feet, where we're at. It's more about etiquette than it is about how to fly a drone. It doesn't teach you at all how to fly a drone. So,
yeah. Well,
yep.
And when I first started doing it, I would have never thought that, checking with neighbors and things like that. How are you bothering them? But I can't tell you how many times that when I first started, I never would go talk to the neighbors, and then, people would think they had like a swarm of bees or something outside their house. And so, you just get into the habit of make sure you contact the neighbors and things like that. But
well, there's a whole nother conversation to be had. So we talk about China. Let's talk tech for a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's talk if you go into the drones. Okay, good segue here. Who makes the best drones? DJI. Well, if DJI makes the best drones, are they watching everything we fly? Could they? Can they? There's a lot of technology in those drones, but hands down, we know that China makes the best drones. So, thoughts?
Yeah. DJI has been the best drone, but I don't know. I've had quite a bit of problems with mine lately, so
yeah.
I wish I could find a better brand. Not to disparage them, but I have 7 of them, and 3 of them are crashed right now. But yeah, that's another great question is, are they recording everything that we're doing and keeping track of it?
I don't know.
I don't know. Probably. You have to assume it, don't you?
Yeah.
My phone
Yeah.
probably was made in China. Probably everything I do has been recorded, and I just assume that between our government and whatever government made my phone, it's probably everything I do is being recorded.
Well, you got to assume that, of course, we had the whole China debacle with TikTok. And so, a huge social media platform that's out there that a lot of us as realtors are using. And then get into, it's like, okay, even if there was 10 million videos out there from TikTok, what are they doing with it? Well, then we get into AI. So then we get into, are they using artificial intelligence to read our videos, to determine how many acres we have, et cetera, et cetera. We think back to, what a CLU is, Common Land Unit?
Yes.
So the FSA, most people don't know that most of those mapping systems go back to 2008. So when we get that perfect little shape around on a mapping system that's called a CLU, a Common Land Unit, those aren't up to date. The government stopped sharing those back in 2008 because they were worried about other countries knowing where they were. Well, now, are they getting our CLUs some other way? I don't know. I don't know if it's really relevant whether they have them or not. I wish they would get more up-to-date ones.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, like on that stuff, is that going to be relevant to a war or anything anyway? I mean, Google's probably the biggest help for a war anywhere. I mean, like, it's I don't know. Like I said, it's the world is going to be a different place. It's a totally different place than it was in any other global war that's been fought. So I think that the data's already out there. So we're dealing with what we're dealing with.
When I say that with anything, I have a saying I say all the time is data is the currency of the internet, or data is the currency of the future. And whoever has the most data is going to win.
Yeah, that's true. So you kind of touched on this though with AI. What are you using right now? I have a fun story, but I want to know what's your favorite thing you're playing with artificial intelligence.
There's really three. We've talked at length on a different episode. We'll have, if you're listening now, you'll have to go back and listen to one of Kobe's other episodes that we talked about AI at its face. We'll go a little deeper here. The three that I'm using big time: Chat GPT. Okay, that's the one most people know. Really good for content creation and ideas. That's where I'll put that one. I use Claude with an E, Claude. Claude AI is anthropic, and it was really good for analyzing data. So if you are going to upload a document or have it proofread something or change something, it's really good. Okay, so I use it for that. Let's pretend for a second that you take all of your Google Analytics of who visits your website, of whatever. Which one would I use? I'd use Claude. Claude analyzes the data better. It's unlike my wife. Chat GPT reads a third of the document and assumes it knows what the rest is going to say. Claude reads the entire document the way it should be done, and then make sure that it all matches. Okay, so those two.
Let's clarify before we all get in trouble here. What part of that was like your wife?
the part where I only listen to a third of what she's saying and assume
right.
part. So I'm more like ChatGPT.
Something with her.
Yeah, well, I'm more like ChatGPT for sure. Yep. Then there's a new one. I say a new one. It's been out for a little bit. Grok is one. Not as familiar with it. And then Perplexity. So Perplexity is more of a real time. So if there was a plane crash right now, we could go on Perplexity and it would give us up-to-date AI-driven, but up-to-date notices, if you will. So those are the three main systems I've been using. There's other ones I use for sound or for image creation, but really, for the most part, those are the three I'm geeking out.
Yeah, because the now chat, I think like probably most people at this point have accepted that AI is worth something and have gotten an account on the free version of ChatGPT or even Gemini. Gemini's, I kind of use a little bit of both because I use Google. So, um, and you can kind of trick it back and forth just to kind of check,
Yep.
you know. And then I'm a big fan of Grammarly too. You can, if you're doing writing and things like that, you can bring Grammarly back into it and that. Are you like, I'm a horrible as far as grammar and things like that. So I'm a pretty good writer. I have a lot of great thoughts, but not very good at sentence structure and the spelling and things like that. So that's kind of how I've been using it. Is I'll write kind of like they taught kindergartners when my kids were going through, how things sound instead of how things are.
Yep.
And then use it to kind of polish everything up. It's all about prompts though, right, David? I mean, that's kind of what you taught us at the land conference year and a half ago.
It is. And, even I have an office manager that her and I were working on a project together. She's like, oh, I'll put it in AI. And she prompted it. And it didn't give the answer I thought. But then I realized her prompt was 180 degrees different than what I would have asked. So I ask very simple questions, but then sometimes I get deeper and where we're going to go. So if you're not there yet, you should be.
Right.
And that is, I'm blanking out here. Hold on one second. Projects. There we go. Projects is where most people that are advancing to the next level of AI are using projects. So what's a project? A project is pre-saved prompts. It's for something you do repeatedly over and over, like grammar, spelling, etc., emails. So you can put a prompt. I'll give you an example of a prompt that I'm using. So in chat or in Claude, you can do this, and they have projects, okay? So I put in a project, and the project was, here's everything about my company. Here's the top 10 ways to use Google AdWords. Here's the top 10 things to know about Facebook ads. Here are the Google analytics from my company of people that click on our stuff, okay? And so, again, data is the currency of the internet. So I'm teaching. A project is where I taught AI to do what I wanted it to do. So first I had to teach everything about it. So here's the 10 most used things on Facebook. Here's the 10 most used things on Google. Here's the 10 most ways that people search for items on the internet. Here's everything about my company that you need to learn about my company. Here are the past 800 customers we've had. Go search them and learn about them. So now I've taught it. I haven't even asked it a question yet. All I did is study this information. Now I'm going to write a multi-level prompt for my project. Okay. So a project is every time I get a new auction, I want you to take this URL of my auction or take, let's do personal property. Okay. Personal property. I'll just do it that way. It's easy. I go catalog all the personal property. Here's a tractor, here's a cultivator, here's a whatever, okay, et cetera, et cetera. And I go through and I have a list of 800 items. And then I upload this list. So here is the next project that I have. Project, air quotes. And I upload it. Do this every time I get a new project. So now we give it multiple prompts. Well, every time we have a auction, we need to do these things. I want to make a heading. I want to make metadata or meta text for Google to find it. I want to make 10 catchy taglines for this auction that I can put on Facebook. I want to make 10 catchy headlines that all follow the Google algorithm for Google, also called Google snippets. Need to be less than a certain amount of characters. Okay, more than a certain amount, but less than a certain amount. That's why I taught it first. How many characters do I need? And go create all of this content. Oh, I'm going to need something for my website that says, hey, the Rickardson auction is held on the 28th, blah, blah. It includes what? Pick out 6 items from the list that I uploaded to you and put them into the header that I'm going to put on my website. So I'll upload this list. I'll say, study this list of items. Also, go through this list and tell me if there's anything unique in here that I might have missed. Okay, so I've asked it already like 8 questions. Oh yeah, and then here's the whole folder full of pictures. Look at these pictures and make sure that the pictures match the item that we have, and tell me if there's anything unique about it. Oh, did you know that this 806 John Deere, or what, it'll take a number, that it has this, it had the pony motor on the side. I see in the picture it had this motor. So it will go out and do the research for me, and then it will make a itemized list of the top 10 things that I need. Also, now let's make, in any type of advertising, when we talk AI, we talk about genres or subset of characters. Who would buy these items? Here's the list of items. Who would buy them? Make me a list. Okay. Genres, or also in the AI world, they're calling it personas. Who's the personality of somebody that's going to buy it? Not to keep talking, but there's so much more, Kobe. Then this persona, you take it and, okay, well, these are guys that like motorcycles. Well, I had 8 motorcycles on this auction. Well, tell me everything I need to know about these and create an ad for these motorcycle people. Here's the ad for the motorcycle people. Here's the ad for the tractor people. Here's the ad for the acreage people. Here's the ad for the people that like antiques that grandma had inside. And it will do all this work in a project. So now, the next time, takes a little bit to set up a project, but the next time I have an auction, my staff goes out and catalogs all those items. I bring that list and I say, hey, whoever, AI, here's my project. Here's a new one. Do all the same stuff. And it puts it all on there. So now, did we do what our staff is doing? We all have systems and processes. I have like 130 points to a land auction. Could we knock off 65 of those points with AI in a project? Probably could.
Yeah. That's, well, and again, take this podcast. We're using very similar things to that too, because we put it to, like now we have opportunities even in Riverside, where Riverside is doing the production part of this, to the point where everything, including the background and, of the video on YouTube and cleaning up the audio and synchronizing everything comes right out of the Riverside app. And so ChatGPT puts together all the social media and the, the description and everything of the podcast. So yeah, it's very time efficient. But hey, let's take a real quick break and we'll come back for one more segment.
Land isn't just dirt. It's where memories are made, families are raised, and livelihoods are built. But when it comes time to sell or buy, the weight of the decision is heavy. Where do you even start? Who can you trust to guide you? For too long, land transactions have been treated like a simple exchange. Numbers on a paper, a signature on a line. But it's more than that. At High Point Land Company, we don't just list land. We walk it, we learn its story, and we find the right buyer who understands its worth. You are not just another deal. You are the steward of something bigger. And we're here to help you navigate every step of the way. When it's time to sell, when it's time to buy, we're here. Because land is more than just land. It's your legacy.
And we are back with Mr. David. Man, I always have such a good time when you're around, David.
Well, I appreciate it. It's always fun. There's always so much to talk about because you geek out on tech like I do, which I love it. So
I know. And this will probably be a little bit longer than our normal 45 minutes or whatever, but that's all right. Because I think if I remember right, last time this was one of the more popular ones that we had. So because people like AI and even if they don't geek out on it like you and I do, they definitely are interested in it.
yeah.
So I'll tell you a really quick story. You'll get a kick out of this. I have an agent that I have known for a long time. He recently joined our team here at High Point. Great guy, really, really smart land agent. Very big Luddite, hates technology. And so we were driving down the road one day and he was teasing me about using chat because I use chat all the time. And so I had just done a deal where we went and visited a client and I had got on and was talking to Chad about sending an email to that client about what we had just talked about. And I wanted Chad to get the email and blah, blah, blah. And then I copied and pasted and sent that email off while we were driving down the road. And he was giving me a hard time about, being crippled by technology. And so I had wrote a song and used chat and Suno and wrote and produced a song about him and played it for him while we were driving down the road.
Yeah.
And just to prove how impressive chat was, I figured out a way to get it onto Spotify and Apple iTunes. So
Cool.
just to prove to him how powerful the use of AI can be. So if you're out there on iTunes, there's a song called Boots in 3 States. You can download that on Spotify. And that was written by myself and ChatGPT about Brian Reynolds in Nebraska.
There you go.
And, just to prove to him how impressive the AI can be. So, but what are we thinking about the rest of the year, man? Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Or you just throw your bones out there and see what happens?
I am bullish always. And the reason I am, I've been sharing this. You talk about AI. I asked AI, I said, hey, AI, I want to do a better job. Write me a business plan. So it did. And I said, we did really good last year, but I'd like to do better. There's always room to improve. What can I do to improve? So you've been in real estate a long time, and different companies have like coaching programs and team programs and whatnot. So I told it, go study all those programs, and I don't need to hire anybody. I can read AI. How about you just write me a business plan? So it did. I said, what do I need to do to make $100 million in gross sales this year? That's my goal. What do we do? So I set a 40% increased goal than what I had last year. And it said to talk about it. That's why I'm talking about it. I thought, well, that's kind of cocky. That's pompous. That's arrogant. I don't want to do that. And it says, no, it builds a team of people that want to see you succeed. And so maybe there's a deal to be had that somebody somewhere will be like, well, I know, he's looking. And I'm telling you what, it already worked. Here's how much it already worked. I had an attorney call the other day, and the attorney says, hey, I got this deal for you. It's about $3 million. And it's like, man, I haven't heard from that attorney for like 6 years. And he says, well, I got to get you that $100 million. How did you know about the 100? Well, he saw it on Facebook. So sharing your message, sharing your brand and what it is. So I'm bullish. I have set my attitude meter to be very bullish, and that I want to do that, which is a huge, huge goal for us this year. Now, I don't know if the market will support Kobe. I don't know if there's that many jobs out there. If everybody's thinking negatively on and press the pause button, well, I'm going to try to encourage them to go, because I just got big goals, and we need to make that happen. How about you? You got a new company?
Yeah.
From the last time I talked with you, and sporting a new logo. And tell me more about that. Let me reverse the roles here. What happened? Where are you at?
It's I've got the pretty bright green and lovely blue now. The High Point Land Company. Owned my own company for quite a while, and decided that it was in our business, David, as you know, you sell when you get the opportunity to sell. You don't sell when you want to sell. So had the opportunity to sell our Remax franchises. I've always been the land person, and the balloon is amazing, but the balloon doesn't sell land, so it's kind of hard to push that. So partnered with a really good land company, and they're kind of young couple that owns it, which has been exciting for me to be able to just kind of give them they're really super smart, but they, my wisdom is a little different than their wisdom. So they're a ball of fire trying to take over the world, and I can have, well, I did this, like I was there once, and here's kind of how it went for me. So take it for whatever it is. But But no, they're great people.
Yeah,
Jacob
Shannon and
and
Jacob
Stan.
Hart. Yeah, good company. They're very similar to our company, and except with a little bigger, farther reach than what we have. So
Yeah, very similar. Very similar people, and yeah, it was a good fit at the time. And Shannon has come on board more in the last 6, 8 months. She kind of had her own thing going for a while, and has been able to scale it to the point where she's got time to come on and kind of take a more active marketing and an advisory role with High Point, and she's been a real big asset. And Jacob is a big visionary. So, yeah, my job is I'm the designated broker for I think 5 states that they have, 5 or 6 states. So kind of the western states. And so it's been exciting.
cool.
It has been, and I'm with you. Very bullish. Super excited. I'm very similar to. I did use AI, not when I was doing my goals, and have been very bullish on this year. My goals are a little different. I went to the um, referral. I set a goal that I wanted to pay out $100,000 in referral fees this year,
Oh
and so
yeah.
I've been talking about that. I really want to forge partnerships with residential and commercial agents. Um, in a way that nobody in the land world has really tried to do before. And so I went to the Nebraska the Realtors Association, had a booth there, talked to a bunch of agents, planned to do Kansas, as well as maybe a couple other residential deals. So we were really well received, um, really shocked at how those guys really never thought of that as an opportunity for them. And so yeah, so I think that that's been a really good goal to set. And so looking forward to those partnerships and working with those guys. So,
Well,
but
that's
yeah,
good.
it's been exciting. It's been fun. I don't think I realized I had a little bit of a short stint with a company that just really wasn't my speed, and I don't think I realized how miserable you can be if you're in the wrong spot, until I made the joke with my wife about something about the last company, and she turned white and said, "No, you're fine where you're at." Like I mentioned something about going back, and I must not have been as happy as I am now. So,
Well,
but
it is interesting because I've been at a couple different companies. I think I've been to 3 different companies before I started my own, and um, there's definitely different fit for different people. There really is. Some want 100% support. Some like to be a little more entrepreneurial and do it themselves. And each company has a different flavor to it. And it's not that I used to discredit people. I think like, oh man, they moved. They only stayed there for 6 months. They're gone again. They're gone again. But I look back at even my career, and it's amazing how many little things you picked up that you didn't even know you learned while you were there. And so you learned what you didn't like. Sometimes that's a good thing. So then when you go to your own, you're like, I don't want my agents to have to have that struggle. So even you can take those negative experiences and turn them into positives at your own company, which is great, or at your next company. So as people look at it, I wish they wouldn't. We're so judgy McJudgerson around the world, but everybody will land where they're supposed to eventually. So yeah.
well, and it's been difficult because like I've been an owner of a company, for so long that the difficult part of it is just, to realize that it's not mine to,
Yeah.
so you have to, make sure that you're checking in and not overacting or overreacting to somebody else's baby, but trying to do whatever needs to be done. And so far it's been a really good fit, and they've let me have awful lot of freedom to. I want to get more into education, which has been fun. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You
Well,
just got to find
you're a teacher for the Land 101 at the Reeler Lane Institute, aren't you?
Yep, I have 3 classes that I teach for RLI. getting ready here in a couple of weeks to head to Oklahoma to teach boot camp, which is sold out. It was sold out in 4 days.
I tried to send some of my guys to it, but their life is busy.
The sad thing was this year was our team training is like it starts. Our team training, the first day of our team training is the first day of boot camp. And so I was like, I told some of my guys, I said, I think you can, you don't have to be the whole time. But by the time, like, we even thought about how we could do it, it was already sold out. It was crazy.
Yep.
So, but that'll be a fun one. Super excited to be a part of that. And then I'm also working on some 3-hour CE classes that we're trying to get. We're trying to work with, like, at least the Midwest states to get them certified so that we can go teach like a land 101 for residential agents.
Yep.
So that way, if they get themselves into a situation where they at least know, enough
Well,
about.
I hope you get not shoot off the wrong direction, but I hope you get paid for that. And the reason I say that is that I've been asked to speak a couple more times at different events this last few years, and and you and I both love to talk and tell people what we've learned. I like to share what I've learned, but of course we're sharing with our competition. That's one thing. Of course, on top of that, now high tide rises all boats. We like that, but it's just time. If you and I are out doing something or teaching somebody else, what are we not doing? We're not selling real estate back home where we're supposed to be. So we're losing money on the back end doing stuff we should do. And time management is crucial. Where do we put our time? And it's not that you don't want to teach, but I give credit to the people that I've seen teach for years and years and years. It's like, okay, they're ready to be done. I get it. They're ready to move on to a different stage in their life. And that takes new people coming up to teach too. But for everybody that doesn't think about it, I wish they would. I wish they'd realize it takes a lot of work to even prep that or get the CE certified in that state or et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, no, that is the goal, is to get to the point where we create enough value that that we can like that is my goal, is within 5 years is to be a speaker or in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So, but right now it's kind of fun to just be able to go out there and just to do to educate like some of the associations, and I want to get to the point where I can go to some of the state associations and be a keynote speaker or something for those guys, and get up there. I don't know that I'll ever be a coach, but definitely be a speaker for people. I think that'd be fun. So
there you go. Have you ever done coaching?
What big plans you got for this year?
Not much. I'm trying to lay low a little bit. I got kids at home that are right into high school, and so they're busy with sports. And like I said, everybody puts a time stamp, and I never say no, which is bad. So my goal is to say no some more, actually. But like I said, just big goals at the real estate company. So trying to focus there, and then also focus on the family a little bit. Elk hunting. I like to go elk hunting. I bought tags. You were talking about elk hunting earlier. I'd like to do that. Are you a big hunter?
No, I'm not. Nope. I grew up on a farm kid that we worked too much. So my dad was not a hunter, and I just never got into it. I was able to help my son get into it. So
that's good.
He's a hunter, but
how old are your kids, Toby?
Huh?
How old are your children?
My youngest is 27. My oldest is 28, so older. Yeah.
Oh, good. I got, I think, about 3 years left, and one's going to go to college. So we'll be, I guess it goes quick, is the way I'll say it. So
yeah, it does go quick, and like I know it's a pain right now, but enjoy the painfulness, because you'll miss those games and all the stuff once they're gone. It's definitely true.
Yeah. But very good. No, that's my plans for this year, but. And stay up. There's so much changing. I want to grow my team as well. So we got a new website coming. That'll be cool. So that's working through that. And it's, it's just a lot of work. Everything is. But got to hustle.
All right. Well, we'll have to keep having you on here, David, because you are so much fun. And it's always a good, I tell you, we never even have like any sort of time restraint on you, because we know it's not going to work, because you and I We always have so much to talk about, but I appreciate you taking the time today.
There you go.
We will see you all down the road.
As we wrap up another episode of the American Land Seller Podcast, thank you for joining us. Visit www.americanlandseller.com and find us on one of your favorite podcast platforms. If you would be so kind and you enjoyed today's insights, please like, subscribe, rate, follow, and review us on whatever app you are listening or watching on. Connect with us on social media for updates. Until next week, Kobe wishes you success in your land endeavors. God bless you and have a great week.
The American Land Seller is brought to you in part by landhub.com. Are you in the market for the perfect piece of land? Look no further than landhub.com, your solution to the biggest challenges facing land buyers and sellers today. At LandHub, we're revolutionizing land transactions by effectively connecting buyers and sellers. Say goodbye to the struggle of finding or marketing land for sale. We understand the power of new media marketing, leveraging social media and targeted ads to bring together the ideal audience for all property types. Join us today and experience the expertise of LandHub's land marketing professionals. Whether you're buying or selling, let us show you the way in the ever-evolving world of land transactions. Visit landhub.com and discover what the future of land marketing looks like. Landhub.com, where your land journey begins. And High Point Land Company. When it comes to buying and selling land, High Point Land Company sets the standard for excellence across the Midwest and beyond. Our expert land specialists bring unmatched market knowledge and a personal touch to every single transaction. Whether it's a farm, ranch, recreational, or even investment property, we provide the expertise and integrity you can trust. Looking to buy or sell? We offer a premier selection of properties and a marketing strategy designed to get you results. From productive farmland to recreational retreats, we help you maximize your investment. Visit www.highpointlandcompany.com today and experience the difference. High Point Land Company, a true leader in land sales.